Do you ever wonder if you're specific enough, clear enough with your trade strategy? Do you recognize the harm to your trading if you aren't? Well, in this video, we show you how clear you need to be and the harm to your P&L for not being specific enough. Hi, I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder of SMB Capital, a proprietary trading firm located in New York City and the author of the trading classic, One Good Trade and the Playbook. Founded in 2005, SMB Capital trades stocks and options and futures and crypto, both as discretionary and automated traders. In this video, a developing trader at the firm shares in step-by-step detail a trade example of momentum scalp. See us judge with a numerical score whether he made a good enough trade for him to reach his trading goals, or whether this developing trader, perhaps like you, needs to do better.
Good morning, guys. My name is George, and this is a momentum trade that I made on Netflix on April 20th, 2022.
Hey, George, give us a little bit of context as to who you are and how you got to SMB.
Sure. Basically, I took your training programs, everything, like all the training program that you have. I took it last year, and then I went through the Discord. I started trading on my own.
Well, which training programs did you take?
First, I took SMB DNA. I also took the Winning Trader and SMB Options Foundation program. But I also watched your SMB Foundation and Reading the Tape program as well. So I watched everything. All the YouTube videos, everything. I mean, everything. So I'm super motivated after you guys. It's just completely changed my life. So I'm very motivated about trading, and this is really good opportunity for me to get to the next level. So,
and then tell me about your participation in our SMB Discord channel for SMB students.
Sure. So what I did was basically, I was asked to, wanted to get involved in the tier system that you guys made it first time. So what it is basically you gotta put up 30 trades, and then also you gotta put up the morning game plan, market recap, daily report card, playbook, and after 30 entries, you go to the tier 2. I did that. Then from tier 2 to tier 3, you got to do the same thing, but then you also have to do the SMB business plan, which I did and sent to Jeff, and playbook video as well. I did that both, and Jeff just approved me to go to tier 3. And as soon as I get into this new and development program, I think really getting better for me is in terms of the trading wise, because I see where I need to improve, which is super important. And Jeff is just unbelievably helpful in my development. I really feel that, and I really love being in here with you guys. I really do. I really appreciate everything. So I'm super excited, and I really think that I can do extremely well with you guys. I have no doubt in my mind, zero doubt.
All right, let's go through this trade. Thank you.
Great. So this is the trade I made, momentum trade on April 20th, 2022. So what I do every morning is that in order for me to find the best momentum trades, I have to go through the process that I have to find the best stocks to play. I love to trade stocks that are super in play, because it is, to me, it's very important. Because if you don't trade stocks that are not super in play, you're not gonna have the best edge in there. So what I do every morning is that I go through the scanner. I find the stocks that are gap 3% plus or positive or negative. Then on the volume, it is the stock must trade pre-market at least several 100,000 shares, or at least 10% of its ABOL. I look for stocks that has RVOL 3 plus, ABOL 1 million plus, ATR 1.0 plus, share float. I like to trade higher floats. I do not like low floats. I like short float. It shouldn't have no more than 20 to 30%. Market cap, I like large caps, 10 billion plus. Institutional ownership, if it has 18% plus, it's better for me. Inside ownership, higher, more bullish to me. Price of the stock, I like to trade stocks that are above $20. The spread I like to be small so that it's easier for me to get in out. If I'm wrong, it'll just like for me it will be easier to get out. And I look through obviously peak for the company with compared to the industry sector and the S&P 500.
If you want to learn 3 more real-world setups that our traders use, including the simple setup that we teach all of our new traders, and the setup that turned one of our traders into a 7-figure big money earner, check out the free webinar that we're currently running. Just go ahead and click the link that should be appearing now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. That will open up the free registration page in a new window, so don't worry, you won't lose this video. You can also visit tradingworkshop.com to register for this free intensive workshop. You're going to learn more in a couple of hours from this trading workshop than from years of online education.
After I go through and I find the stocks that I like, then I start with a bottom-up approach. And again, I go through a fundamental analysis. And to me, stock must have unexpected, strong fundamental news catalyst that is significant, either positive or negative, okay? It is super important to me. I go through their EPS numbers, revenue numbers, guidance moving forward. If I have full year, it's a huge plus. I go through their margins, whether it's increasing or decreasing. I go through there, whether it's market share gaining, losing, new product, new technology, new drug, something new to sell. I like, when they have a client base, I go through the subscriber number, whether it's increasing or decreasing. If there is any buyback program or secondary program, I go through that as well. Upgrades or downgrades by tier 1 banks, it's very important to notice that.
So George, there's a lot here, and let me sort of jump in here, which is way too much detail here. And so, you know, what you're going to do here is you're going to get yourself in trouble by making trading way too hard. And so I think this is good for maybe choosing stocks, but even in choosing stocks, it's way too complicated. What you want to say to yourself, and I don't mean to be critical, I say that because I feel like you're doing a lot of work, but you could be more efficient and get to better results, which is what we want. We don't want to just do a lot of work for the sake of doing a lot of work to show that we really care, but then that getting in the way of us getting good results, or us choosing good stocks, or us finding trade strategies that work for us. And at a certain point, and I know you're still developing, at a certain point we sort of have to say, and when I think about trade strategy, a trade strategy is, I want to find a stock in play, I want it to have a catalyst, I want to see a trade setup that's in my playbook, and I want to execute on it. I got you. And that's how I want to be defining my trade strategy. You know, catalyst, playbook trade, execution strategy, and then give it a run.
Let's go to the technology that I use. In the morning, I use the S&P scanner to find the best stocks. I also go through the earnings scanner that I have to find the stocks that report earnings. So I'm on top of that as well. The next slide I go through is a technology that I use on my own. I use on IB, I use interactive brokers. I go through the biggest gainers and losers to find the best stocks. And again, I also have an IB momentum scanner, which shows that after 11 o'clock, for example, right, when the momentum dies on the stocks that I'm trading, if there is anything that pops up in here, it's a 5-minute, the stock that shows on 5-minute the biggest movement. So I find stocks in here as well. Then I also back tested Netflix past earnings, because on this day the stock was gapped down 27%, but then I wanted to see, obviously what it did before, so I went through that as well, just to have an idea.
So did you find any edge in your back test?
So what I did was basically every time it would gap down like 21%. There was one time last quarter, for example, it was down 21%. Then it went from there, it was like 18% lower. So this stock moves really well. I see that negative 7%, then it went down 15%. So this is a very momentum stock. So the best way to trade is momentum-wise. This is personally what I think, and this is the information that I got it from the back testing on the past earnings on this one.
All right, well, did you come up with anything like there were X amount of instances where it was down over 10%, and when it was down over 10%, it finished Y amount of times lower than the open? Did you find something like that?
No, you see, I hear twice it went down more than 10%, and then both of these times it was another 6%. One time it went down 6%, the other time it went down 18%.
So only 2 times. And how far back did you look?
As far as I could, this is the last 12 quarters, but I went through last 24 quarters, and this is what I did.
All right, good. Well, I like that you actually did this back test. I like that you checked it out. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of instances where it was down as much as it was. 2 instances, and then it traded lower. But I like how you're using some filters, and I like how you're doing a back test. I'd encourage you to keep doing more of that. And so we're going to give you a 9.2 for your use of technology out of 10.
Sounds good. Let me go to the big picture.
You should be more excited. That's a good score.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So let me go to the big picture. So as we can see, recently we had a very big bull market, very long. Then we sold off. Then we bounced back. We sold off. We bounced back. And there are 3 main drivers for overall market right now, as I understand. The one is the inflation and what Fed is going to do about it, how many rate hikes Fed is going to do and how much he raised.
Yes, exactly right.
And on this day, for example, right, Chicago President Evans spoke and said that it is likely we might get not only 50 but maybe 75 basis point rate hike, so nothing good for the overall market. Also, another very important is geopolitical issue, war between Russia and Ukraine, and whether it is escalating to a much bigger war or de-escalating. And on this day, Russia and Ukraine battled in Donbass, which could have decided how the war would unfold in the coming days. And also, senior Chinese diplomat said that Beijing would strengthen its strategic ties with Russia and reaffirmed support for President Putin. So it seemed more escalation of war to me. And a third is a COVID-19 escalation or de-escalation. And on this day, mainland Chinese stocks sold off pre-market because there was a fears as Beijing expanded testing of its citizens. Then on this particular day, there were some economic notes. Existing home sales was worse than expected. And like I said, the Chicago Fed president spoke. The numbers as of 8 a.m. was WIX was about 20-ish. Oil was about 103, gold 1955, dollar was about 100, 10-year was down to 2.875, gas 7.2, silver and Bitcoin, I have that. And I have my support and resistance levels on SPIs. So obviously I had my S1, S2, S3 in here and my R levels. And as you can see, the day of the trade, this is the 5-minute chart. The stock, actually, I'm sorry, the SPY was, trading in a range between S1 and R1. So it was not, rolling higher. So, and again, at the open, when I traded this for my open, actually the overall market was selling off. So it was on my side. So this is another plus. The next one is I go through again the VIX. And it was just, trading between 19 and 21. I was looking through XLC, which is communication sector, which and Netflix is in this sector. And as you can see from the chart, this sector was selling off, so it was on my side as well, because I was short biased on the stock. And Netflix is in media entertainment industry, and it was also trending down. So the industry is also selling off. It was on my side as well.
Yeah, so let's just talk about the big picture overall and give you a score out of 10 for that. So I really liked how you identified the 3 main drivers that big money players are most concerned about. Inflation and how much the Fed is going to raise rates, the war between Russia and Ukraine, and COVID, specifically how China is reacting to this. And I liked how you remarked as to whether or not on these 3 prongs, whether or not this day it was getting worse or better. The news is worse on inflation. The news is worse on the war. The news is worse on COVID. I like how you walk through that. That's good, clean thinking. I'm going to give you a 9.3 out of 10 on your breakdown for the big picture. That was very well done. And you also did a nice job here of identifying the levels that are most important to us on SPY. So good job there. All right, intraday fundamentals. Let's see it.
So intraday fundamentals, right? The stock was down 27%, as I said, pre-market. It did about 1.3 million shares by 8 a.m. And our wall was super elevated. It was above 15, so which obviously got my attention. And A wall was about 8.5 million. ATR it's about 14. Shares float is good. Short float 1.75%. Institutional ownership 82%. Insider ownership 1.5%. I was biased short, and I'll explain why. Market cap is about 158 billion. I got my 52-week range, which was 329 through 700. Sector again, the communication sector. Industry PBS, media and entertainment. P was 31.95, which was lower than the industry and the average compared to the S&P and sector. Now, what caught my attention also was that intraday fundamentals, and I highlighted things that really got my attention on this day. So EPS was bit, but there was a revenue miss, but the company reported a loss of 200,000.
George, if I could jump in, I love how you highlight in intraday fundamentals in red the things that are most important. In this case, on the negative side, I think that is an excellent way to keep your playbooks easy to go back and look at those intraday fundamentals that are driving a stock.
Great. So company reported, like I said, 200,000 paid subscribers loss versus 2.73 million additions were expected. This was a huge miss, right? So this is the first time the streamer reported a subscriber loss in more than a decade. Now this is significant, right? So the last time Netflix lost subscribers was in October 2011. The company blamed increased competition, password sharing, as well as inflation and the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine for this stagnant subscriber growth. And they said that our revenue growth has slowed considerably. Now, this is huge when the growth company such as Netflix that say that their revenue growth slowed. This is really a big red flag. The company wrote in a letter to shareholders. They said that streaming is winning over linear, as we predicted, and Netflix titles are very popular globally. However, our relative high household penetration, which included a large number of household sharing accounts, combined with competition, is creating revenue growth headwinds. Netflix was an early winner when COVID lockdown sent families inside and searching for entertainment. But the company now says that pandemic era gains cloud the picture for the company, that it's seeming a downturn as people return to no more normalized out-of-the-home activities. Company also additionally forecasted a global paid subscriber loss of 2 million for the next quarter. I mean, imagine this is really bad news. And not only they missed the subscriber number, they also said 2 million is going to be lost for the next quarter. And there was a lot of downgrades and price target cuts by tier 1 banks. So this was the intraday fundamentals.
Really good job there, George.
Thank you.
Really good job there. I'm going to give you a 9.4 out of 10 on your breakdown of intraday fundamentals. I want to ask you a question while I have you here.
Sure, please.
What's more important? If a company misses on its revenue for a quarter, or if their subscriber growth slows?
Definitely subscriber growth slows, I think, is worse. And even more importantly, they don't provide like a guidance, but this is a guidance. They said that the next quarter, it's going to be 2 million subscriber loss. And as we know, the biggest revenue for the company is these subscribers. This is how they make money. So this is huge for them.
Very good job. Good breakdown there.
So next is long-term technical analysis. And as you can see from the chart, the stock was trading as high as 720 in its peak time, but then it was selling off. And as you can see recently, it has been in a consolidation. But after the earnings report, as the stock broke 52-week low and was trending lower. This is the when the earnings came up, and basically the stock was technically broken in charts and looked very weak. So basically all the investors that got above 350 were out of the money, right? So not only that we have a great fundamental news, but it also technically the stock is broken. This is gonna bring even more sellers in this game. So this is what I thought. This is how I was thinking.
Very good job here, George, of pointing out what is most important about the long-term technical analysis, which is it's below a 52-week low and it's technically broken.
Yes, and I have my R1, R2, R3 in here, S1, S2, S3 as well. So go to the next one. This is the intraday technicals, and my trading plan was basically to watch the levels and tape.
If I could just jump in here, George, I just want to supplement that point I just made. So when something's broken, and it's got a negative news catalyst, when it's broken on the longer term charts technically and it's gapping down, it's got to go find support wherever that might be. It's probably not going to be day one. It's probably not even going to be day two. But you expect that you're going to have to see something different from the order flow for it to turn back up. That's why it's so significant that you've pointed out that it's broken technically on its longer term chart.
That's right.
All right, great.
Great. So the next one is intraday technicals. And like I said, my trading plan was basically, I have my support, resistance levels, inflection point, but my trading plan was to watch the levels and tape for clues as to when to take my short position. I wanted to short whenever I felt it was weak on the tape and play momentum to the downside. So this is the pre-market. And what I did was after the market hours when they reported, I was watching the tape. I saw there was a weakness on the tape. There was unusual seller on the offer. So I shorted right here, momentum lot at 268.71. And when the momentum died on me, I covered my momentum lot. So I got 2 points out of it. Also again, pre-market, I shorted again right here when I felt that it was, and I'll show you this as well because I saw unusual seller on the offer, and I have a tape which I'm going to show, but I'm going to briefly explain what I did in here. So this was the same thing that I saw unusual seller on the offer. So I got short at 256.52, and I covered it when the momentum died on me. This was another momentum trade. I got another 2 points. Then this is where I have a tape that I'm going to show. This was 250 level, which was my S1. Okay, so on this level, it couldn't get below, but once it got below, it couldn't get above it. So what happened was that there was unusual seller on the offer, and I'm going to show that on the tape. And then when I saw that, I shorted at 249.94. And I played the momentum, and I covered this when the stock made too steep of a move. Okay, this is one of the reasons that I have on a sale. My stop was basically if the 250 lifted, I was gonna get out on a position, but it never lifted, so I got like 6 points out of here, 5+ points. Then again, obviously the stock was collapsing, right? It was trending down. Then I was looking for the next time it hit, when it hit below 240, exactly the same thing happened. Unusual seller on the offer, okay? Same thing, the stock couldn't get above it. There was a huge unusual seller on the offer. I got short at 239.85, which was right below S2. And when the momentum died on, oh, wait a second, on this one, right? So what I did was I saw acceleration on selling here. I'm sorry, for selling. And what I did another momentum short lot at 237.98. And then when I saw the momentum was dying on me, right? It was slowing down. I covered it at 237.15. So this was another like a couple points. And the last time that I traded was in here.
All right, so George, I want to go back to our trade strategy.
Sure.
So the trade strategy for these trades, which I remarked can be simpler. Let me give an example of what the trade strategy is for this. So the trade strategy is look for a stock that's broken technically on the longer term charts. Look for a stock that has a negative news catalyst. Look for resistance intraday on the tape, short in front of that intraday resistance, and then cover it when it gets too steep. That's a momentum trade. That's a trade strategy. Okay? And then you can have a second way that you trade that, which is you don't cover it when it's too steep, you cover it when it slows. But the reason why I bring this up is like that's the trade. And I want you thinking in those variables. I want you thinking that cleanly and that succinctly, because that is a trade. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. Yes. The same thing in here. What happened was that I shorted at 225.74, and then I added another momentum lot because it was acceleration at 221.02, and I covered everything when the momentum slowed in here at 220.46. So these were all the trades that I made, and I'll go to the next slide.
All right, so I just want to give you some feedback on your technical analysis overall. Out of 10, that's a 9.3. That was very good. And I think you're doubling up this slide for your trade management slide, or is there a separate trade management slide?
Oh, trade management slide is when I show you on trade review stats that how I executed it.
I will be quiet then. Okay, show me the tape.
Sure. So the next one is the tape. And as you can see, this is the unusual seller in here at 250. Okay. And if you can see in here, at 250 it shows less. There would be more volume done in here than what it shows at 250. So I will get short as soon as I spot that. And right now we are trading below that S1. You see it shows 600, but it's more volume is executed in here. You see more volume, it's just 300, but look how many volume is in here, traded. So it was unusual seller. There'll be more sellers in here. Again, more sellers in here, more sellers. See how many volume is here? A lot.
Yep.
So this type is really big, so I wanted to just unwind. And this obviously, you know, my stop was if this lifted, I was gonna get out. But obviously, and again, in the morning I traded pre-market, so I was in the money already. So I would, you know, I added more shorts. And as you can see, at 249, the same thing happened. When it hit 249, same. Right below the 249, same unusual seller on the offer. And you know, it never gave me the reason to get out on this momentum trade, and I'll tell you when I actually got out. So stock you know, it was coming down, stepping down, and then boom, all of a sudden it makes this steep move. So when it makes this steep move, I just, you know, exit my position, because, you know, it will just come back.
All right, good. And I want to give you some feedback on reading the tape. You're doing a really good job here on your reading the tape. So you're finding an area where there's resistance from the tape. Excellent. You actually did that twice. And then you're also finding a reason to get out of it based on the tape, which in this case is goes down too fast. So giving you some feedback, that's a 9.2 out of 10 in terms of how you're using reading the tape. All right, good job, very good job there.
Thank you, thank you. So when we go to the trade management, again,
Okay, good.
Same thing. So what I did was basically, this one doesn't show the pre-market data, but this is the when the market opened. This is the trade review stats. So again, like I said, I showed it at 268. I got out at 260. I covered it. Then I showed it at 256. I covered it at 254. 2 points. And I got, and all these are my trader executions in here. And this is my execution. The same thing that I explained on the earlier.
I'll give you some feedback on your trade management. Again, very good job with your trade management. That's an A on your trade management. It's exactly how you ought to be thinking through that. And we're going to give you a 9.2 out of 10 for your trade management.
Great stuff, great stuff. And the next page is a trade review. So how could I have traded this better, right? Now, this was my A+ setup because everything was on my side. I love this setup, okay? Fundamentals was on my side, technicals, tape, and all the other variables that I look for were within my checklist. But I traded with a very small size. So at the time that I was trading, I was not thinking about appropriate sizing and made huge mistake trading with a very small size. My risk on all momentum lots I took on this trade was just under 5% of my daily risk. This sizing is basically like for a filler trades that I have, not for like A+ trades. Now, I should have risked up to 35% of my daily risk limit on each short momentum lot because it was appropriate risk in here. So the next time when I spot my A+ setup, I need to think about correct sizing as well, because it is super important to do correct sizing when a brilliant opportunity presents itself. I need to swing my bet a lot harder, but of course within my tier size limits. Now, even though I made over 170% of my daily max loss limit size profit on this with risking under 5% of my daily risk level, if I had risked appropriate 35% on my daily risk on each momentum lot, I would have made over 1200% of max daily loss limit size profit on these trades. So this shows how powerful and profitable momentum trading really is.
Okay, so let me give you some feedback on your trade review. So this is an excellent observation from you that you need to swing the bat harder on your A+ setups. Yes. Somebody wrote something on Twitter and said, this trader sees too many new traders who don't bet the same amount on each and every trade. And that this person, I forget who said this person was advocating that you need to bet the same amount on each trade. And if you don't bet the same amount on each trade, that you're not going about things the right way as a new trader. And from my seat, I try not to be too negative, but from my seat, that's not correct. For the type of trading that we do, that's not what we're seeing leads to people being elite performers. And I tweeted about this idea. I said, from my seat, I see the people who do the best are the people that are risking significantly more on their A+ trades than their other trades. That's what Shark does, and Swang does, and Raf does, and all the really, and Dan G, and Max, and Armand, and Nano, all the top traders at the firm, they're swinging the bat hard on their A+ trades. They're risking a lot more on their A+ trades. So I like how you're pointing that out here, and you do have to do that. One thing that you need to add with your trade review, and one thing I wish you would have touched upon, and I would expect for you to touch upon, and I'm surprised you didn't bring up, is can you turn this into a swing trade? Now, look, at the beginning of your career, I'm perfectly okay with you momentum trading and scalping and becoming good at that first before you start to think about longer time frames. But I do think that you need to, in your trade review, say to yourself, hey, should I be experimenting next time with an intraday swing trade for a setup like this? Should I short this when I find some intraday weakness, and should I make this into a trade to hold? And I would have liked for you to have some reflection on that in your trade review. Having said that, this is an 8.5 out of 10 on your trade review, but the reason why it's not a 9.2 or a 9.3 is because I would have liked for you to give yourself some comments on whether or not you could have made that into a trade to hold.
Sure, Mike. Can I say something? I always thinking about that to make the swing trade, but because I call this playbook the momentum trade, that is why I did not include that swing core position trade. But I beat myself up for not taking a swing core position on this trade because there was no reason I could have rode from 250 all the way down to.
Now I want to talk about this. So when I judge you on your stock selection, this is a 10 out of 10. And I love the way you laid it out. It's a stock that's broken on the longer term charts. We have a bigger picture that's getting worse. We're in a weak market. We've got a very negative news catalyst. You did an excellent job about explaining exactly why this is a very negative news catalyst. We got something that's gapping down. We've got something that's showing weakness on the tape. This is a trade to hold, George. This is, you put the damn thing out on the offer, you find where you're going to be wrong if the thing trades against you, you find that weak area on the intraday, in your intraday price action, you put the damn trade on, and you hold it. You see where it's going to go. You let the trade play out. You give it a run. You let it see if it'll really just drop. This is the trade where you do that on. There's nothing to do here because you found such a great stock. You found such a great setup. You found such a great place where you could actually control your risk. Go for it. Risk on. Let this thing run. Trade to hold. Get out of it when it changes. And so, that's fine. And so I actually think this is a textbook example, if you were to do another playbook, of a trade to hold, changing fundamentals trade, which you could really make a lot of money on. But we're going to give you 10 out of 10 on your stock selection. Your diligence of presentation, 9.5 out of 10. I thought you did a really good job of presenting. The only thing we have left is trade strategy. And to me, this is where we need work. This is where you need to make improvement. This is a 6.5 out of 10 on your trade strategy because there really was no trade strategy. You've got to start thinking more specifically about the setup and the trade you're going to make. You got to start breaking it down into finer parts. You got to start leaving out some of the extra information that's not going to doesn't really have to do with the specific trade. And the other thing is, I would have loved for you to have just given us one momentum trade, maybe just the first one. I didn't need to see momentum trade 2, momentum trade 3, because this is a playbook. A playbook denotes specific trades. It's okay to have made one trade, one momentum trade in this stock. This is the one momentum trade I made. Here's where I entered. Here's where I exited. Here's where I got in. Here's why I'm in this stock. Here's where I got out of it. Here's what I made in it. And that's it. That is a momentum trade, and I'm going to build off of that. I didn't need to see 2 and 3. Okay, because again, that's an example of it. Once you thinking cleanly, if you're going to be a momentum type trader, I want you thinking about momentum trades. If you're going to be making this into a trade to hold, I don't want to see two trades to hold in one particular setup. I just want to see one. So that's where you really can make improvement. Being cleaner in your thought process, being even more specific in your thought process, and tightening up what your specific trade strategy is. Having said that, the other work was terrific. I don't know where that leaves you. In terms of where you need to be, in terms of a score for, you need to be 85 or better for you to be tracking to reach your goals as a trader, and that 6.5 is going to bump you down, and I can't do that math in my head, so I'm going to have to ask Kurt to give us the final score, which is 90.1. So this is an example of you tracking. This is an example of you doing the work that's going to lead to you accomplishing your goals. Having said that, I got to throw the caveat on, you got to do better with your trade strategy.
We'll do that, definitely. We'll be more specific. I understand. I got it.
Okay, good. Hey, go ahead and click our subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos that we're producing for you in the trading community. And please take the time to add your feedback in the comment section for what videos you'd like for us to produce next and what you found helpful from this video. From all of us at S&B, train and trade well.